Hey everybody. I don't know if you know, we've got more noise from comic book resources about the Snyder Cut. Like it's like they just won't let it die. So let's go into detail about what they're talking about. For some reason they think it won't ever happen again, even though this is part of a progressing trend. Started with Sonic, moved on with the Joker. For the Sonic situation, there was like a really bad CGI version of Sonic that was made originally because they were just basically cutting corners, or basically not trying to be, you know, faithful to the look of Sonic for this live action. I want to make him more realistic, and he ended up looking really bad. And so people freaked out, and the director of the movie said, "Yeah, we're gonna redo it, guys. Don't worry." And they did it, and it came out and it broke records. Like it made a lot of money. And then same thing happened with Joker. Similarly, thing happened with the Joker where they didn't like the politics of it, so they basically were trying to get people not to go, trying to guilt people not to go by saying there was going to be all kinds of riots and people are going to be mass shootings at these cinema for this movie. It's like no, that never happened. Joker broke all kinds of records, made more money than Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It profit wise was one of the best movies of that year. Like cost versus actual revenue from the movie. So then we come to this now with the Snyder Cut, something that was initially being pushed by people with flying airplanes across the sky showing it and doing billboards and stuff like that, just trying to get it to go. And it just didn't. And it finally, and then Snyder picked up on it and I guess talked with Warner Brothers and HBO and got them to kickstart this idea, a way to like sell HBO Max by getting the Snyder Cut done. Because it was such a popular hashtag and people, and it was definitely something that the fans wanted. It wasn't a vocal minority, or it wouldn't have gotten the traction it did. All that said, now that CBR is seen it happening, they're like, it's not going to happen ever again. You guys are just spoiled. Anyways, let's go on to read the article here. The Snyder Cut is an anomaly that like happened because of specific circumstances, so other original cuts in this vein are unlikely. Now, I think part of the reason that they're going in about this is because after this Snyder Cut got announced, people were like, "Oh, hey, where's the Ayer cut for Suicide Squad? Where's the Josh Tran cut for Fan Four Stick and stuff like that?" Like people just kind of talking in the social space about it, and like so now they're upset. They're upset. Look at this. The announcement that the Snyder Cut of Justice League will be released on HBO Max got a lot of fans excited. After years of online campaigns, it seems their persistence paid off, which prompted many fans to ask for original cuts of other films: Suicide Squad, Dark Phoenix, Fantastic Four. So this is what I'm talking about. Like they're citing this whole thing, like trying to take this whole social push. People wondering what would happen if we had this cut. Let's do this cut. Let's people. The fans calling, anyways. The fans calling out for other versions of their preferred films. It's important to remember that it's an unprecedented move with the wild storm of circumstances leading up to it. Yeah, so like it was a unique situation. Doesn't mean that it can't happen again. That doesn't mean that given the right circumstances, things aren't going to be coming up and doing things and causing more fan requested materials. So it's not like there's not a source for these things. It's not like people aren't going to pay for this once it's made, like certain things. Like this is a this is a different kind of activism and everything else. Like there's always the talk about how people like that definitely on the woke side of things try to make things woke, and once they get that push done and get the studios to respond, they kind of just disappear. They're not the customers that are going to pay for this content. They just want to make the world better, and then once the world's better, they just blow off and do other things, and start attacking other things. So this whole situation though is not of that vein. It's more of a vein with people that can pay, people that are going to pay money, people that are interested in the materials, that not just in making the materials more sympathetic or more palatable to their I guess ideals. It's not that situation at all. It's a completely different situation. So now they're going to talk about the factors here. So we got one factor leading up to Zack Snyder's. This is Zack Snyder's own fan base. Since he came onto the scene, Snyder's has had a distinctive style many movies have grew fond of. Now this is somewhat true. I mean, there is definitely a backing to this, and like, I'm not technically a Zack Snyder fan. I don't seek out his materials. I don't watch his stuff. Like 300 was great, and there was other things that he did. And I didn't watch. I've never watched Sucker Punch. I've never watched. There's a couple other things of his that I haven't watched either. Just haven't been bothered. So it's not like I'm a big fan. I just see this as an absolute win, as the Hulk would say, for this sort of situation where people needed to see this because there was extenuating circumstances that even took him off the movie. So we never really got the actual Snyder cut. His daughter passed away, and so he stepped back, and they brought in Mr. Buffet, Josh Whedon, Joss Whedon, Josh. I tried to slur my words there. Joss Whedon came in and finished it and did a bunch of changes to it and added his own humor to it and blah blah blah. And it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, I did watch it at one point. Oh, I doubt I paid for it, but I don't remember paying for it anyways. So there's that. Let's see, what else are they talking about here? Here they go. At the same time, he has more than a fair share of detractors. His films are consistently criticized for prioritizing cool shots over storytelling and bouncing around ideas without having a focus to go in depth on them. Most of his films have end up being polarizing, which hardens his fan base stance and dedication. Oh, really? When his hardened, you don't say. When his films are brought up in discussion, his fans find themselves defending their opinions fans, more so than fans of other directors, like Christopher Nolan tend to do. This solidifies their stance and makes them even more loyal. Every single director is going to have a hardened fan base. This is not news. This is not new. This is not something that's unique to Snyder. They're not going to be as polarizing as some. Like, he's more polarizing than others, but there is still going to be detractors. There's still going to be people that don't like the work of certain directors, and they're gonna. So there's going to be a fan base there, small or large or in between, that's going to be like, can't believe these people don't like this movie. I want the real movie. Things like that. Okay, and here we're going with Watchmen. Best example of this is Watchmen. Large chunks of the film were shot-for-shot recreations of the comic series it was based on. A lot of people felt that the film didn't understand the characters or deeper themes. While many people feel the film fails to deliver on its intent, Newcomer fans consider it among one of the best superhero films ever made. Despite the film not making a killing at the box office, it continues to be a source of a lot of discussion because there's such a great difference of opinion. As a result, it continues to remain relevant. Yeah, so this keeps going on and on. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It just carries on forever. But basically, it's saying here that, oh my God, why are you doing this? Why are you making this movie? We don't like it that they got their own way. It's something that Clownfish TV talked about. I saw this talk about this morning. Basically, these companies that like comic book resources are basically nesting grounds for people with specific political ideals, and they use that platform to push their own agenda out into the world in the form of media coverage. And while they're certainly allowed to have their opinion, they can't treating it like it's something that is just part of the zeitgeist instead of just something that's their own personal point of view of that zeitgeist is not helpful. And it's basically them trying to manipulate the fans, trying to manipulate them and make sure that the studios get a specific view of the current zeitgeist, even if it's not accurate. And that's what's been shaping this change is that these people that are running these sites are losing money because money's going away. And so basically they have a smaller voice. And studios are actually realizing that, oh, we have paying customers that actually want things this way. We should cater to our paying customers, people that are already buying our stuff, people that are going to buy the new stuff, as long as we make it the way that is true to the source material, or at least well done enough that so that can be part of the source material. Like basically having good a lot of detail, being well written, having good character building, you know, creating character arcs for the people that the characters that are in these shows and movies. But anyways, that's how I feel about that, and that's where we're at. They're basically saying that let's see what summary. Yeah, here it is at the end here. Like they're saying that this is not this is not about paying for wallets. It's about these guys are a vocal minority, and they're not. They're literally paying for billboards, and they're paying to have airplanes fly this across the sky, saying please release the Snyder Cut, hashtag release the Snyder Cut, and all this stuff. And people and studios are figuring this out, and that's where we're at right now. CBR doesn't like it. Well, they can go pound sand because this is the way things are going now, and they just don't get it yet. But they will soon enough. But that's all I've got to say for that on that for now. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.